This is kind of an impromptu video as I spent the weekend showing off the Mystara Player's Handbook at the North Texas RPG Con and getting the opinions of various designers and artists. Did get to meet Jeff Easley and Larry Elmore and got some autographs before I was shanghaied to run Rahazia with 5 minutes left to start because of a missing DM. So this is something I was working on beforehand, and I moved it to the front of the line because I didn't like to fall behind. Because of that, this week I'm talking about including Warlocks in Mystara. Warlocks very much 5th edition, Mystara stopped in 2nd edition. So if you're going to include Warlocks, you've got some modifications to do. So welcome to Mystara, as we're adopting a 5th edition class to a BECMI setting. I'm Mr. Welch, and this is Warlocks in Mystara. Magic in Mystara is normally arcane or divine. You can get it from either the natural magics inherent to the world, or it's given to you by the immortals. Okay, technically there's 3 types of magic, but immortal magic isn't available to the lowly PC, so it's a bit beyond the scope of this video. So what if there was another source of magic? What if the players could make a deal to gain more magical power outside the normal sources? That's the gist of the Mystara Warlock. You have to forget a lot of what you know about Warlock patrons when it comes to Mystara, mainly because the immortals have cut off the setting from the outside influence of the outer planes. This eliminates a good chunk of the patrons. There's no devils, angels are very rare, good luck on getting in contact with any of the eldritch horrors from the far realms. It's pretty difficult to get here from the astral plane, much less the 7 heavens or the 9 hells, so you have to get creative. There's quite a few normal patrons you can choose from, and there's quite a few exclusive to Mystara that you have to port over. Warlocks traditionally have 3 types of patrons they can choose from: the Fae, the Outsider, and the Infernal. Well, Cthulhu isn't welcome, and demons that try to sneak by the immortal eye tend to end up being scattered across hundreds of different planes of reality by angry hierarchs. The third one, however, is present and well established in Mystara, and it's the Archfey. The big powerful fairies are described in depth with Tall Tales of the Wee Folk, so reference that book for details on who the Archfey are. You do have to increase several of them in power. Fays can't be immortal, they're already incapable of dying, but rules-wise, the most powerful Shi are no more powerful than Emperor Thincal or just another very high-level immortal. So apply the immortal rules to the Fae. So now regular Fae can become Archfey, who dwarf the regular Fae in terms of power. Instead of having a few neat abilities and lots of magic, they get reality warping abilities while inside of the Good Kingdom. There's just a handful of them, but they generate power points like the immortals, even if the power is a little bit more restricted than the regular immortals at the same time. But inside their own domain, they are immensely more powerful. Kick all the legendary Fae from Tall Tales up to Archfey status. Oberon, Titania, Robin Goodfellow, Mob, all the ones so lovingly and blatantly ripped off from Shakespeare. Hit up Arthurian lore for Gwen-ap Nuth, Bread Bettle the Green Knight, Mugidu the Forest Friend, and anyone else you want. So now we've got Archfey, and the Warlocks have their first patron. The Shi have their own rules that the Warlocks have to agree on before Oberon gives his nod on giving you super secret magic powers. And it's all about Oberon. He's the Fae you have to impress to get Shi magics for your puny little mortal character. All the other Archfey have to present you to the court, making the Archfey one of the few patrons you actually have to physically appear in front of to ask permission. Remember, Oberon is playing 9th dimensional chess. If he selects you, it's because he has a role for you, even if you have no idea what that role is. So get ready for all sorts of shenanigans if your Mystaran Warlock takes the Archfey patron. You are a pawn in a larger game and you don't even know how to play. 2 classes stand out as perfect conversions to Warlocks from Mystara, one of which I did make a Warlock on the 5th edition guide. The other one I wish I did. I just ran out of money before I got the art. First up is the Wise Woman from the Northern Reaches, or the Vulva from the actual Nordic word for wise women. These warlocks gain their magic from hidden knowledges given to their ancestors by the Northern Immortals centuries ago. Odin and the rest of his type tried to get around the limitations on how immortals can interact with the mortals, so the Aesir gave away a large repository of knowledge to a select group of women that have carried on the tradition to this day. They have the ability to know the future as well as scry the present, though giving that knowledge to others is extremely risky because their words also bring madness with them. While the source of the knowledge was given directly by the immortals, the actual patron is the knowledge itself. The very information they possess wants to be known. But mortals aren't ready for what the wise women know, and making them loners sought out only by the most desperate. The second warlock patrons are the Spirit Lords, which give us the Hacklemen of Ethengar. It makes perfect sense that the Hacklemen are warlocks. They commune with the animal spirits as much as the spirit shaman, and are known for being quite eccentric as well. They work with an unknown magic given to them by creatures that live just outside the veil of the material world. Their magic is that of the Spirit Lords that rule over the animal kingdoms. The Hacklemen appear as nothing more than strange wizards that command a magic unknown to the wizards of Glantry or any other arcane caster. That gives us 1 traditional patron and 2 Mystaran sources with the wisdom of the Vulva and the Animal Lords. Zargon is mentioned as a patron in the 5th edition book. Yes, the same Zargon trapped below the Lost City, so if you buff him up, we've got a great old one trying to get out of his imprisonment and giving special powers to those who he can somehow contact. There are a few other options you can take if you're just lazy. Have the Entropic Immortals grant Warlock powers through some proxies to avoid detection by the other Immortals, but then there's the Dimension of Nightmares. This poorly described realm offers a lot of promise for unspeakable creatures willing to give you forbidden magic for a price. The dimension is home to the Diabli, as well as the Brain Collectors and the Soul Leaders, and is considered not a very nice place for people to visit. Its geography is absolutely alien, and its magic works nothing like the Prime Material Plane. Little is known about it except for the fact that nothing works the same. It's where Galantrians that study dream mastery build their ethereal castles. As far as the greater powers in the Dimension of Nightmares, there aren't any names, but you can easily just create one for the equivalent of a fiend patron. The magic is straight up nightmarish. It's not arcane or divine. It's something entirely different. Warlocks are straight up 5th edition. They did originate in 3rd edition in one of the mini splat books and later showed up in 4th edition, but since 5th edition is current, I'm just going to deal with that. Warlocks aren't going to be popular in most areas. They harness unusual magics and they're marked by their patron in some way. Some nations tolerate their version of the Warlock, even if they do fear them. The wise women are respected in the northern reaches, but they're not going to be invited to many social gatherings. In the Ethengar, Hacklemen are respected by the clans, but at the same time they are kept a good distance away from the rest of the camp out of fear. Outside their own nations, they are unheard of and will be viewed at with suspicion. Warlocks of the Archfey will be viewed with distrust because of Oberon's treacherous reputation. And Warlocks in Glantry will find themselves tortured and dissected to learn the secrets of their magic. It's not an easy life. That's a few examples of how to add Warlocks to Mystara, and now I'm back on schedule, so I'll post up a poll for the next topic, and I will be back to normal this weekend. One side note, there is a petition going around after someone on InWorld posted up Jeff Grubb's detailed tale of the dying days of TSR, wanting to publish the unfinished Mystara 2nd edition book. I don't know how feasible that is, but I'm always willing to help all things Mystara. I'll post up the petition link in the description. As always, follow on Twitter and spread the word so we can get the attention of the powers that be. So until next week, rest in peace, James Matthey.